Are we live action? I believe we are live action, y'all. I appreciate you guys being patient with me. I'm a little bit late today, coming home from work, dealing with some stuff. And I think it's actually perfect because today we're talking about dealing with adversity, dealing with struggle, dealing with things not turning up exactly the way you wanted it. And so it's a nice segue into that. Today we're talking about my student who got into medical school, worked really hard, guys, and then is in medical school and had a bad first week and failed his first exam. We're going to talk about his story. We're going to talk about what happened to him in med school this week. And we're going to talk about how you guys, as pre-med students, as medical trainees, can learn and advance from the struggles he's gone through, guys. So let's hit the intro and we'll get right to it. Or not. Maybe we won't. Today is the day, guys. You're going to take your future into your own hands. You're going to dominate. You're going to be successful. No excuses, just dominate. All right, guys. Give me just a second. Let me log in here. Oh, man. It's been a day, y'all. I'm ripping and running. Okay. So, making sure we're all on here. Can everybody see me? I'm turning my lights on. Get it bright going on in here. All right. Thank you guys for your patience. I appreciate it. We are live action. With live action comes little slight delays. Julian, what up? Thank you. I'm glad you like that new intro. Nick, what up? Bella, what up? Nick, I hope you're enjoying the Dominate Pre-Med Accelerator you just enrolled in. So let's talk about this. So imagine, let's set it up for you guys. Imagine working super, super hard, as many of you guys are doing as future doctors, right? As pre-meds. You're working really hard. You're doing every single thing you can. And you're a student who comes from a disadvantaged background economically. You come from a disadvantaged background in terms of your learning abilities and your natural abilities and having this learning disability. You come from a background where you don't have family support, where they don't believe in you because they haven't done a lot with their lives. And so they believe you're going to be the same failure that they are. And you work through all these obstacles and you achieve your dream of getting into medical school. The greatest moment of your life. And in that moment, you experience hardship that makes you feel like it's all slipping away in just that moment. That's what my student was going through this week, guys. And he's a student who's been through so much. I'm so proud of everything he's been through. And we'll talk about that in a second. But he's worked hard. Guys, been my student for like almost 6 years now. And we've worked so hard to get him from a place of bringing all the doubt and all the negativity from his family, of thinking, oh, I have all these obstacles, financial, emotional, mentally. I can't overcome these obstacles to be successful and become a doctor, even though that's what I dream of being. And we worked through all of that stuff, guys, got him to the place where he freaking scrapped and scraped through his undergrad to get the GPA required to get into medical school. We scrapped and scraped to get him into the MCAT, right? And then he gets to the MCAT, he gets into medical school, and it's supposed to be an amazing moment. And then now he's struggling. And it's like, dang, right? And so he's starting medical school this week. If you guys know, right, like medical school just started, and so we're all excited for him. And he was just saying on coaching the other week how excited he was. And I'm going to use his name, Rob, so that way we can just be out there, and I can say he the whole time. So he was all excited, and he was talking about how he was so excited that all the hard work, all the practicing he's done to make himself an incredible student, he's excited to go to medical school and be the top dog and to dominate in medical school and take it on and go full charge. And then he gets to his first week and I get a text that says, and let me pull it up so I can represent correctly exactly what he said. So the text he sent me was, "Hey, Dr. P, just thought I'd let you know I've met with my dean of academics. I'm considering dropping out. I don't think I was cut out to be one of your students. I can't keep up and I'm miserable. I'll let you know what I'm doing once I've made a decision. Thanks for all the effort you put in." And I got this text and I was like, I'm in the OR, right? I'm in the OR and I get this text and I was like, whoa, time out. You were Mr. Excitement, Mr. Go-Getter, Mr. I'm going to dominate. And then just a week later, now you're dropping out of medical school? Stop right now. And I was like, I'll call you back in 30 minutes. I'm in the OR. And I sent him this text. And so I call him back in 30 minutes. I'm like, whoa, what just happened this week, Rob? What is going on? Tell me what is happening. What is going on? And he proceeds to tell me about how, okay, I'm like, did you guys even start classes yet? And he's like, yeah, we just started this week. And I just had my first exam and I failed it. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, so I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I just don't know if there's life for me. I don't know if I can do it. And I can be capable. And I'm like, how did we turn around so fast? And what I want to stress to you guys, how many of you guys have had moments like this in your career? Maybe it wasn't med school. Maybe it was just any moment in your life where you had something happen. It might have been small, it might have been big. You had something happen in your career where you thought something was going to go a certain way. It was going to be all gold and roses, and it turned out to be all thorns and dirt. How many of you guys have experienced this? Let me know right now. Comment in the box right now. We are live action. Dr. Pinesett here. If you're enjoying this, if you're ready to get down to it, if you understand, if you feel for my student Rob, like this video right now, let us know. And I see one of the comments here says, dang, he was ready to give up that quick after going through so much. That's tough. And what's interesting about this, guys, is death and quitting are the same in the sense that there's never an expected convenient time for death, and there's never an expected convenient time to be a quitter. It just happens where we feel like I must quit, I must give up on my dreams. And when he says this, right, when you're like, man, how could somebody who just got into medical school, I would kill to be in medical school, how could they want to drop out after a week? And we have to understand the psychology of this, right? In that when you are someone, and this is so deep, I want you guys to stay with me for a second here. How many of you guys, or actually, let me lay it out this way. We go through life trying to achieve greatness. We go through life trying to achieve our definition of success. Yet, in so many of the moments in the journey to achieving our goal or our success, we are completely filled with doubt. We are completely filled with the sensation that this is impossible, that you cannot do it, that you are incapable of doing it. How many of you guys can understand those feelings? Then, when something bad along this journey, you're going towards success, when something bad happens along this journey, it's not one bad thing happening. What does it feel like, guys? It feels like every bad thing happening, because that one bad thing happening, it immediately confirms every sneaky suspicion you had about your inadequacies and about the impossibility of you becoming the success you dream of being. And so in that moment, it's not just one failure, it's that one failure plus a million other future perceived, recurrent, unstoppable failures. And we see our future in that moment. It's like one of those movies. You see a flash montage of your future of, oh, I try my best and I don't succeed. I try my best and it feels like crap. I try my best and everyone makes fun of me. I try my best and I still don't get the life I live. I have to sacrifice all this and I can't be successful. And it feels like failure is final and failure is for forever. And not only does failure exist out in this world, but it exists inside you. It is you. It is your core nature. And for many of us, what we don't recognize and we fail to realize, or we realize and we fail to rectify, that's the way to say it, is that all the negative thoughts we have about ourselves, all the doubt we learn that doubt, y'all. Where do we learn it from? Who teaches you to doubt yourself? I'm serious, guys. We're having a real discussion right now. Before we even get into all this, this is very important for us because I'm here for you guys to learn, right? I already talked to Rob. I'm talking to you guys. Where does all your self-doubt come from? Can we have a real frank conversation about this right now? What are your sources of doubt and of self, right? That self-loathing, that this is me, this labeling yourself. Where does it all come from? When we're live, guys, I will wait. I will sit myself here and wait for you to answer because I'm here for you to learn. Interact with this. Say, Dr. Pinesett, I came here to get better today. So I'm going to go ahead and comment and let you know that I'm here to learn today. Where does it come from, guys? Doubt is a learned behavior. Facts. For my MCAT studiers, right? We talk about the id, right? The super id, the ego. We talk about these things. Fear and doubt are learned behaviors. How do we know this? Because what fears does a kid have? I'll jump right off this couch and bust my head if I want to, because I've never bust my head before. I've never had someone tell me I can't jump off this couch. How many times in your life, guys, have people told you what you are and what you're capable of and what you're not capable of? And they've expressed to you your clear, finite limits. This is how far you can go. This is what you can be. Ooh, you got that score? You know what that means? You weren't meant to be a doctor. Ooh, this happened? It means you weren't meant to go to college. Oh, this happened? It meant you're not smart enough. How many times has that happened to you guys? Can we be real and honest and truthful and talk about it? It's a learned behavior from all the doubt that gets presented to you. We don't know our limits until someone gives us our limits. That is the real situation. And so what we have to recognize is, guys, and this is what I told Rob, I said, stop right now. So for all of you guys who are like mad imposter syndrome, all you guys who are like, man, I just don't know. Oh man, you know what? I do know, and I know it's impossible. I can't do this. Let me be the proof to you that nothing is impossible. And I was just having this conversation today with the surgeon today in the OR, because I was talking about how I was going to do this stream tonight, and I was like, you know what it reminds me of is Gattaca. And this is what I talked about Rob with, was Gattaca. Have you guys ever seen the movie Gattaca? I did like a 90-minute live stream on Gattaca like 4 or 5 years ago. I might do another one because this movie is incredible. It's everything. And I love this movie. I watched it last week, right before all this happened, right? It's the universe bringing me what I needed. And I watch it a couple times a year. It's like that. I watch Men of Honor with Cuba Gooding Jr. I watch, what's my other one? Rudy. All these movies that are based on true stories, except for Gattaca, it's a sci-fi, whatever, right? But it's like there's huge amounts of lessons in them. And in Gattaca, one of the things I love about Gattaca is that Ethan Hawke's character, he was born by natural birth. And he was born at a time when other people were being genetically modified to be amazing, like superhumans almost. And his parents were like, no, we want a natural birth. And then when he was born, they're like, oh, we took his genetic code and it says that he's at risk for this and this and this. Like when you send your DNA test away to like 23andMe and stuff, and they tell you like, oh, you're at risk for this, right? So his parents were told, hey, he's going to die at a young age from heart attack, and he can't do anything. He's very frail and whatever, and sickly, and has a heart condition, and blah, blah, blah. And so they tell him he's going to die by the time he's 20 something. And so his parents, right, like are all like, oh my gosh, don't do this. Don't do this. His name's Vincent. Vincent, don't do this. You can't do that. And they're all about can't. And there's a scene where he's in class. And this is what happens to so many of you guys academically. There's a scene where he's in class and they're asking the students what they want to be. And he says, oh, I want to be an astronaut and go to the Mars. And the teacher's like, Vincent, for someone like you, I think it's important you pick something that's more realistic. Maybe you can be, and starts listing off some common jobs. And he's like, no, I want to do that. And that experience, when I see that happen, I don't see Vincent in that movie. You know who I see? I see my black self. I see me being told at multiple times in my journey that I'm not smart enough. I'm not gifted enough. That I don't have the intellect to be what I want to be. That I don't have the academic performance record. I don't have the resume. I don't have all these things. And it hurts when you hear those things. Like right now I get emotional, like at all these moments in life where I was like, mother flipper, I just want to have some hope and some dream. And I was looking for an olive branch and you just poo-pooed and put your thumb down and squished my hope, my dream. You extinguished the fire that was burning in me, my passion for this, by telling me I wasn't equipped for this. And early on in my life, I can recognize, I can look back as an old man, right? You guys see the gray in my hair. I'm grayed out. I can look back as an old man. I can look at those moments and I can see truly from a distance, like a third eye, of what those moments meant to me in those moments and how much it hurt me and how much it limited me early on. And you don't realize, like, dang, this shouldn't faze me like this. It's just whatever. But it really, really takes an impact. And every single time that happens, it just reinforces. And so anytime you have a failure, that voice of that person who told you you weren't smart enough, whatever, it comes right back. And one of the key things that I did in my journey to become my greatness was I had to recognize that in life, right? And you guys, What is my mantra that I say to myself every single day? And this is so important. I came up with the mantra because I recognized I've got control of everything in my life. And I came up with the mantra, everything I am or ever will be is a direct result of me. My care, my effort, right? My attention, my focus, and my time. Everything I ever will be, everything I am today and everything I ever will be in the future is a direct result of me. My effort, my care, my focus, and my attention. And that's so powerful to me, at least every day. And I hope it's powerful to one of you guys to understand that the only true limits in this earth are you. And this works in a myriad of ways of you're the only person who can propel yourself to your ultimate heights, and you're the only person who can limit yourself to the lowest of depths. And you have to make the decision to say, I'm going to be the best of myself. And I quote Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant, page 22, I think it is, 20 or 22. And he says, I decided that day I would never settle for less than I could be. And I was like, golly, when I read that, it changed me. Because I recognize that so often we don't realize it. Someone tells us this is our limit, this is where we're at. And then when we hit that limit, what do? We say, oh, that's right, this is my limit. And we settle into that groove. How many of you guys are comfy and cozy in the confines of your comfort zone of this is who I am, this is who I ought to be? And I had another student, kind of similar situation, where she came from a family that didn't support her dream and her goals. And they come from a small hick town, and they told her she was going to be a small hick town like them, and that she was going to be an early pregnancy and all those kind of things that going on. And she said, no, I won't be that. And she actually left home at a young, early age. And it took a lot of courage for her to do that. But because of that courage, of her leaving her town, of her making the decision, I'm going to leave my freaking family as a minor, because it's that negative, it's that toxic. And there's some other lying background things in there, but it was that toxic for her that she said, I'm leaving today to go out into the world to fulfill my potential. And she went, finished up high school on her own, went on to community college, transferred to community college, did okay in college, but had some hiccups, did a post-bac program, and I'm happy to report, guys, guess where she is? In medical school today. But it took her saying, I will not settle for the limits that these people will put on me. I must break free of this. And so for all of you guys, if you feel that imposter syndrome, if you feel less than, if you feel that hopelessness, you have to recognize where it comes from. It comes from the fact that your previous experiences, either that you've had that have been unsupervised, or the people that have told you and said, hey, you know what? I look at what just happened, and here I'm going to put a meaning to it. That score, that outcome, this result means this. It means you can't. And all they're doing, right? And I love, what's the movie where he says can't shouldn't be in a man's vocabulary? It's not He's Got Game. It's Love and Basketball. Yes! Yes, Mr. McCall says can't should never be in a man's vocabulary. And that's another movie. That line right there, right, in this whole movie is incredible. Can't should never be in a man's vocabulary. And what we mean by that, right, and what I interpreted from that, what I want you to interpret from that, is that you can't let can't into your life. Can't should not exist in your mind. What should be there is how can I? Does everybody see the difference? Oh, I can't do this. How can I do this? How can I maneuver and make this happen? And in my life, guys, that is what I've been the gosh darn cockroach that wouldn't die. Right? I'm the fly that flies around your house and you're swatting at it with everything. I got a towel. I got a fly swatter. I got all this stuff. And no matter what, you swing, you're like, I got it. And all of a sudden you look over and I'm the fly in the corner just looking at you like, you thought you had me. I'm still here. That's been my career of how can I? Every time someone said, right, once I realized my own power, I said, every time someone said, oh, you can't do this. Oh, I can't? Watch me. I'm going to do it this way. How can I get it done? Connect this piece to this piece and this piece and this piece. And even if it takes me this much longer, or it takes this extra effort, or it takes this whatever, I don't care. How can I get it done? I'm going and I'm going to get it done. Gosh darn it. I will not be denied. There is nothing I can't not do. I can do all things if, how can I do it? Right? A lot of people say, won't he do it? No, I will do it. How will I do it? It's my, how will I do it? That's my expression. And I have that go-getter mindset. And so as this student, right, battled through all this stuff, we get to this moment and he has this huge failure the very first week of med school, and it feels real to him. Gosh dang it. And then in that moment, right, he was this hopeful student the week before. I'm going to change the game, but the greatest med student has ever been. One test, I'm not cut out for this. I'm sorry, I'm not meant to be one of your students. Da-da-da. And if you listen to that text, it's crazy. It's bizarro talk because I'm like, you've been my student for 6 years. How are you not worthy of being my student? And as we have this conversation, I want you first to recognize that when things happen, we magnify it because we sum all of our past failures into that moment. And we also add to it the potential failures of the future. And so I want you guys to just peel back the layers and focus on the moment and say, hey, it's just one test. And the truth is, one test, one hiccup, one failure, one mishap has never kept anyone out of medical school. Thank you, Pat. Yes, comes from other people. It's never kept someone out of medical school. It's never kept someone from becoming a doctor. But when you let those things stack together, it keeps you out. Or when you let one thing give you pause and you quit on yourself, it keeps you out. And I tell people all the time, I get anybody into medical school. I'll get anybody. I can get a gosh darn monkey into medical school. As long as they will listen to me and they are not willing to quit. But so many people quit. And even in my journey, when my freshman year, my college counselor told me, hey, you're not cut out for medicine, I thought about it. I was like, ooh, maybe I should quit. Maybe I don't have what it takes. Maybe she's right. I should quit on myself. But I didn't quit. I persevered. And so in this case, when this happens, I tell them, hey, listen, you can't quit. You can't quit. We got to figure this out. What do you mean you quitting? I'm not cut out for it. I'm like, what do you mean? If anybody's cut out for it, you're cut out for it. And he said to me, one of the most introspective things, have you ever had a conversation, someone says something and it instantly is like, you just like gotta not, yep, like you just, yep, you hit the nail on the head. And what he said to me was, he's like, I have worked my butt off this week and I failed the test and I'm the dumbest student in my class. And he said that. And I'm like, okay, I know where we're at right now. How many of you guys have done something and you're like, man, I must be the dumbest, the worst of all time? And so I said to him, I said, take a step back. I said, you failed this exam. You say you're the dumbest. I said, hey, were you the only person who failed the exam? He's like, no. There was like a dozen of us. I'm like, oh, so a dozen, more than 10 other people also failed this exam. And I said, you told me that you're the dumbest ever been there and you'll never catch up. That's the other thing. I'll never catch up. And I said, you're 1 week into medical school. You tell me how far behind could you be in 1 week? And he's like, no, it's serious. I'm like, oh, I know it's serious. I'm laughing though, man. How far behind could we be in 1 week? And so I'm like, we can't catastrophize, but let's put it this way. Let's look at it a different way. I said, you said you're not cut out for this, but what if I told you I know many a medical student who failed a test? I know many a medical student who failed a whole block. I know many a medical student who failed a whole year. But you know what? They got to become doctors. I'll never forget it. I recognized that one thing won't keep me from being a doctor. So in medical school, there was the derm block, and they're teaching us about skin stuff. And I'm like, this is dumb. I don't care for this. I went on vacation with my wife. I left. The block was like 3 weeks. I left for the block was 2 weeks. That's what it was. I left for a week. I was gone. And I came back and I bombed that block. And then I had to sit down with the academic deans and they had like, hey, what are you doing? You've been doing so great. Now you flunked this thing. What's going on? What's happening? I'm like, oh, I was on vacation. And they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, we'll be back next week. Okay, great. And we move on with our lives. Nothing's ever final, guys. Just don't quit. Just keep going. And then he got into this conversation where he talked about being so dumb. And he's like, no, you don't understand. The problem with me feeling like the dumbest student is that that's how I felt my whole undergrad time. All through college, I was the dumb student. I was the dumb student. I felt like the dumb student. I always had to work harder than everybody else. I always had to sacrifice things that other people didn't sacrifice. And I said, wait a minute, Rob, you think that makes you dumb? I said, think about what you said to me. All through undergrad, you felt like the dumbest student. You felt like you had to work the hardest, you had to sacrifice the most. And now it's happening all over again. But I said, when you got through undergrad, what happened? You got into medical school. You became the success. So does feeling dumb make you dumb? Does having to work hard make you a failure? Does having to sacrifice make you a failure? No, it's quite the opposite. It makes you a success. By all metrics, you're Gattaca. I said, you're Vincent. We had the Gattaca conversation. I said, by all metrics, Vincent shouldn't have lived. Should never been able to become an astronaut. By all metrics, you're a poor kid, a learning disabled kid, with a family that doesn't support you, kid, financially impoverished all throughout your journey, having to work, do all. Statistically, you should not be able to get into medical school because medical school is a rich, wealthy, well-minded person's game. But you beat the odds by working harder, by sacrificing more, and you had the furthest distance traveled, and you succeeded in spite of all that. So your success is an even bigger success because you should have been a big fat failure. You are the success. And so I said, if you feel dumb in med school, if you have to work harder than your colleagues, if you have to sacrifice more, doesn't that make your success even sweeter, even bigger? Doesn't that make you more of a success? It's easy to succeed when you should. It's easy to win when you have the best team. When you have the worst team, when you have the worst skill set, if you can win, that makes you the ultimate success. And I said, you've been with me for 6 years. You got the 5 pillars of studying like get better grades in your system. We turned your grades around. You got my MCAT course. We turned your MCAT around. You did the application right. You're into medical school. You got my Dominate Med School course. You got everything you need to be successful. And you're going to let one test, because you worked so hard and didn't turn out, keep you from your dream? If you are a learning disabled student and you are succeeding, if you are a disadvantaged student and you are succeeding, but you struggle to enjoy it because you recognize that you have to work so much harder than the other students and it makes you bitter and jealous and angry, then use that anger to make sure you succeed. Does everybody understand what I'm saying right now? I say it all the gosh darn time. I have so much anger in my heart, guys, so much bitterness in my heart for the fact that I didn't have the advantage, that I did have to work harder, that I did have to do things that other people didn't have to do. They could just, study for a couple hours and show up for a test. That wasn't me. I had to put in real work, had to learn deep so I could create my understanding to succeed. But it doesn't mean I shut down. All that bitter, all that anger in my heart makes it so that I can't quit. I could never quit. Because if I quit, that means I'm giving a spot to all those busters who make me so angry at the advantages they have and they don't even appreciate. It is my responsibility to recognize if I don't succeed, and this is what I knew, if I don't become a doctor, if I don't make myself a career, I've got nothing to fall back on because I don't come from money. If I don't get myself in gear and get this degree, I don't have the connections. I don't have, the only thing I got is my work ethic. Only thing I got is the potential to become and create and craft my success. I can't let it go because the only thing waiting for me is a bottomless pit of nothing. And I'm angry. I wish I had a soft little parachute to float on. I wish. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. My parents just give me so much money. They think they can make decisions for me. They're, paying for my school. So they want me to live. I'm like, oh, that sounds rough. Difficult. Man. Shucks. Did you need a hug? Your parents are paying for your education? Oh, that's tough. Rough. Oh. If you have to overcome, guys, and you have to work harder, take pride in the fact that you are willing and able to do that, guys. Be proud of that hard work. I tell my students all the time, I tell people, I said, I may seem like an arrogant asshole, and I don't care. I couldn't care less because I am arrogant. I am cocky. I am pompous. I am all these things. My pride cannot be contained because I know what my success took to create. And so you can never make me not proud of myself because I've worked way too hard and done way too much to let you tell me that I ain't what I ain't. I is it. I am the greatness that you see in front of you. And I worked so hard for this, so much harder than many others had to work. And so therefore, I am proud of myself, and there's never a day that I'm not proud of what I've crafted and created. Going from a first-generation college student who struggled academically, who didn't have the resources, to going to Stanford Medical School, to dominating Stanford Medical School, to getting to my top residency, to becoming the anesthesiologist, to becoming a beacon of hope and opportunity to get better for students. You could never make me feel bad about myself. I always have a good day. I take pride in having to work harder. I take pride in knowing, yeah, I am the dumbest person, but I became the smartest person because I was willing to feed this noggin and do whatever it took to get the knowledge in. So I take pride. When I walked into medical school, shoot, I knew I don't have not near the natural ability of these characters. But you know what I did? I developed tools and strategies and approaches and systems of success inside the classroom and outside the classroom that allowed me to execute and perform beyond my abilities. And if you think about it, right, that's what we do as a society, right? Industrial revolution, technology revolution, now AI, it allows you, right, with having systems and having processes and automation, it allows you to do things we never thought possible. Your life can be that too if you have the right success systems. And so we had this whole conversation and we laid out a roadmap and said, listen, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And that's how you're going to approach it. And he's going to come back. Don't worry about it. Stop that. And he got off the phone. By the end, he was laughing. We're having a good time. And he recognized I was just tripping. I was having a moment. And I almost flamed my whole career because I was having a moment. And so I have to go because we have coaching and someone put in the box. But I want you guys to understand and recognize and realize that you guys all are extremely powerful. And you guys can be whatever you want to be as long as you don't quit on yourself. And as long as you don't let the haters and the doubters intrude into your life and introduce can't and introduce hopelessness. And instead you focus on the fact that you can and focus on how can I get it done and focus on creating a plan. That's what you have to do, guys. And I think it's, I say this all the time, right? But it becomes this thing, man, gosh, you got to have your mindset on right. All right. So I always say to people, you start with me, start with my successful student 3-day mindset makeover. Because for so many of you guys, you got a bunch of doubt and junk and crap stuck in your brain from years of ineptitude, years of failure, years of doubters, years of haters, even self-hatred. And you need to wash that away and get a new perspective, a new mindset, a new lens for how you see yourself and how you see your opportunities and your abilities. That's what my mindset makeover does for you. And then once we refresh your mind, then we can put in all the good knowledge about studying and about pre-medding and about all the other stuff to help you become your greatness. So I hope you guys will get to my website, premedproductivity.com, and check out a program, a course, get into something to start your pathway, to start your growth and get there, guys. All right. I got to go because I got coaching tonight with my Dominate Premed Accelerator. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, take a second, like the video. I'm here live action every Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. So I hope you guys will join me. Subscribe, toggle the little bell, so that way you know when I'm live action, you can come get at me. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. That's it for another episode of the Premed Productivity Podcast. Show your love by smashing the like button and commenting in the box below. Today is the day, guys. No more excuses, no more complaining. You're going to take your future into your own hands. You're going to dominate. You're going to be successful. I challenge you. What are you going to do today to make your life better? Get to my website, premedproductivity.com. Grab a free ebook, sign up for a free webinar, and if you're really ready to transform, enroll in one of my life-changing courses or coaching programs. You have greatness inside you. Let me show you how to unlock it so you can dominate and make your dreams a reality.